Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Renick. I'm a real estate broker, the senior broker, the team lead with Team Renick Real Estate Services. We're part of that great Keller Williams on the Water Sarasota family, and we're proud to be aligned with those folks. If you notice right now, there is no logo behind me. You see gold color curtains. I don't have all my top of the line broadcasting equipment. I'm actually out in Anaheim, California. It is 6 a.m. out here. I've got the numbers prepared and I've got my cup of coffee ready to go. So our commitment at Team Renick is to bring you information that can make a difference when you're in the buy or sell mode. And if you're just interested in keeping tabs, we're committed to make sure that the latest information is available and it's understood. So I will be out here all week. We have an opportunity to learn from 5,000 of some of the best agents. We're at a Tom Ferry conference. And on Wednesday afternoon, I actually get an opportunity to share my approach, and my tools are different. So let me go to full screen here and we'll go right into the data. So our plan is on the first Monday, which is today, is we're going to talk about what's happening with area sales, the trends, and what does that mean to you as a buyer or seller. On the second Monday, next week, we'll be talking about prices. Are they rising or falling? And most importantly, what does that mean to you? The third Monday, we'll look at the inventory levels out there. The fourth Monday, how long is it taking to get property sold? And we'll break that down every month into the 4 different categories. But most importantly, we'll share what kind of plans are needed if you're a buyer or seller, depending on whether we're in a buyer's market, a seller's market, or one that's neutral. And this week, with the data that I'm bringing you in terms of sales, it is a mixed bag. That's why it's absolutely essential to take a look at your area. Start at a broader brush with maybe a county or a city, but you need to drill down to the subdivision level and the condo association level to really understand how to most effectively get the best deal for your side of the transaction, whether you're a buyer or a seller. So when we look at the numbers here, the for sale numbers that I'm about to show are the numbers that were for sale at the end of the month. And when we're talking about end of the month, it was July. The numbers that are pending means it's a deal that's under contract that hasn't closed. Sold numbers are the ones that actually closed during the month of July. Now, you'll see notes I've spread throughout the presentation this morning, and this will be short. I talk about whether it's a buyer's market, a seller's market, or whether it's neutral. And that really it comes down to the inventory levels, and that's what we share in week 3 of every month. If it's less than 3 months of inventory available, we generally feel that it's a strong seller's market. If the inventory level is greater than 6 months, it's a buyer's market. We'll talk more about that as we move forward. So in Sarasota County, what we're seeing right now is June is actually a neutral month when we look at all the data overall that you're going to see this month. The homes for sale in June was 4,000. Actually, that was in July. I've got the wrong date on here. Actually, that is June data that we have up there. So there was 4,344 units that were sold in the month of June. This is June data. July data won't be out until the 3rd week. That's down 3.8% from last month. It's down 2%, 0.2% from last year. The homes that have closed in June, 1,215 units. That's down 8.2% from last month. It's up 3% from last year. As we see in this chart, and we see in multiple charts that we're going to show this morning, is numbers are falling, but it's typical. If we look back into last year, we see that the peak on the chart was April. It fell in May, June, July, August, close in September, and started to go back up in October. So we do see a seasonality to our numbers, again, in Sarasota County. When we move into Manatee County, we're seeing similar results. Homes for sale in June was 3,017. That's down from last month of over 4%. It's up a little bit less than a full percent compared to last year. The sales that were closed, 936 units, down from last month, a little bit less than 2%, up 7.2% from last year. Again, it's a neutral market in Manatee County. When we jump into Longboat Key and we start looking at some of the cities that we service, it's a buyer's market. And here's what's key about that. If you're a buyer, there's a certain way to strategically leverage that information. If you're a seller and we're going to list your property, there's a way to combat that. and your agent needs to have a strong plan to work with this data. So when we look at the buyer's market, what's happening there? Sales for properties in June was 343 units. That's down almost 4% from last month. It's down 11% from last year. That's a trend we definitely want to keep an eye on. The closed sales were 56 units, which is down 16.4% from last month, but it's up 12% from last year. So the number of homes for sale is showing a troubling trend, but the actual units that got sold is comparable to what we've seen in the past. When we jump into Holmes Beach and Bradenton Beach, we're seeing that it's also a buyer's market. So when we went at a higher level, we saw two sellers market with Longboat Key and now Bradenton Beach and Holmes Beach. We're seeing it's a buyer's market. Homes for sale were 197 units. It's down 2.5% from last month, up almost 5% from last year. The closed numbers down 40% from last month, up 4.5% from last year. So that's a trend we want to keep track of. When we look into Siesta Key, we're seeing Siesta Key is a neutrals market. It falls between three, allergies, 3 and 6%, or 3 and 6 months of inventory available. So we see that the homes for sale fell 3.8% from last month, down 0.2% from last year. Home sales, the actual closures, was down 8.2% from last month, up 3% from last year. When we move into Venice, we see it's a seller's market. So this is the first one where we're seeing it in favor of the seller, and there's strategies we could put in place, whether we're working with you as a buyer or a seller, to combat these numbers or to leverage these numbers. So the homes for sale in June of 2018, they fell 6.7% from last month, but they're up almost 5% from last year. The closed numbers are down 8% from last month, but they're up almost 10% from last year. So when we look at the inventory levels, we're clearly in a seller's market. We'll talk more as we go forward. Let's look at the city of Sarasota. We looked at the county to begin. Now we're at the city level. In Sarasota, we find it a neutrals market. Sales for sale were down 2.6% from last month, down almost 1% from last year. Closed sales down 3.6% from last month, but up almost 5% from last year. And our last city that we share information on this broadcast is Bradenton, another seller's market, down 5% from last month, up 4.3% from last year. Our closed numbers down 1.1% from last month, up 11.3% from last year. So what does this mean? When we look at the area that we service, let me see if I can bring this back to full chart. What this means is we need to understand that. So if I'm working with the buyer and it's a buyer's market, we can leverage that when we go in and we make our offers and our pricing. But if it's a seller's market and I'm working with a buyer, we have to be strategic about how we place that. And we have to package the offer that we want to bring forward in a strategic sense with the data that can support what we're trying to do. It's all about understanding what's going on. On the other side of the table, when we're working with sellers in a seller's market, we leverage that. When we're working with sellers in a buyer's market, there's ways to combat that. So it comes down to doing your homework. It comes down to due diligence, and it's understanding the market. That's where we begin our work. Well before we even meet with a client for the first time, is staying on top of this. Now, if you'd like information to help you, and again, we can take it all the way down to the subdivision level or condo association level, feel free to reach out. There's no obligation. My personal cell number is 941-400-8735. That will keep you from going through the corporate phone system. Mike@teamrenick.com is my email, and our website is michaelrenick.com. We want to help. We want to provide information that makes sense to you and makes a difference. So all of this week, the broadcast that we have scheduled, we will be coming to you from Anaheim, California. We're very excited about the opportunity out here. Next week, if everything goes according to plan, we'll be back in the office. You'll see the logo, you'll see ties, all that kind of good stuff. But I appreciate the fact that you took the time to watch this, whether you're going to see the recording going forward or you actually see the live show. It means everything to us. Let us know how we can continue to help. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a great Monday.